Hey everyone, it's Flora. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be doing another manga comparison and review. This time it's going to be episode 7 of season 2 of Fruits Basket. Let me just say, wow, this episode was amazing. It was so gorgeous. The scene with Yuki and Toru at the end is by far one of my favorite scenes so far in this anime, and it was just fantastic. Now that Akito's arrived at the summer home, things are starting to pick up, and it's only going to get more intense from here. This is definitely one of my favorite episodes so far this season, and it really did follow the manga very well. First, I'm going to be doing a quick summary of both 58 and 59. I'm going to be using volume 10 of the Tokyo Pop Fruits Basket manga. Just to let you all know, there is one translation error in this book. We'll talk about it when we get there though. Alright, let's get started. Overall, this episode was amazingly done. It followed the manga beautifully, and with Akito arriving at the summer home, the entire tone of the series has changed, and we can sense some serious build-up for what's to come in the rest of the beach arc. I was especially blown away with the ending scene with Yuki and Toru. It was one of the most beautiful and emotional scenes of the entire series. Along with the wonderful visuals and music, Yuki's voice actor did a fantastic job at conveying Yuki's emotions during this tragic scene. The members of the Zodiac are all going through their own hardships, and we are now starting to see this in more detail as season 2 progresses. Chapter 58 begins with Hiro finding out that his mom is pregnant. Everyone hears the news as they all walk back to the summer home, and here it is learned that this baby will not be cursed as long as the rest of the Zodiac members are still alive. The comments that Momiji, Haru, and Yuki make resonate with Toru, and she realizes that she still doesn't know much about their parents. They arrive at the house, and Momiji announces that he wants to smash watermelon in celebration of Hiro's mom. Toru begins to tell a story, but suddenly stops herself due to remembering what Hiro said before. She worries that talking about her mom so much is insensitive to the others. Hiro notices her trying to cover it up, as well as Kyo. Afterwards, Yuki softly stares at Toru from afar while he remembers some words that Akito said from his childhood. Seeing Kyo walk up to her, Yuki turns away and goes for a walk alone. Kyo confronts Toru about what happened earlier with Hiro, and they both open up to each other about their pasts and share a heartwarming moment. Hattori and Shigure, who are now at the summer home, talk about Akito's arrival. The last scene reveals that Kureno has also arrived with Akito, and they run into Yuki on his walk. Chapter 59 picks up right where 58 left off, with Akito walking towards Yuki. Still tormented by the dark thoughts Akito pushed on him as a child, Yuki remembers the time he saved Toru all those years ago, and holds on to hope during their talk. It shifts to everyone else hearing the news that Akito has arrived, and that the Zodiac must leave promptly to go welcome Akito at the other house. Toru wonders where Yuki is, and Haru says that he's still on his walk. Kyo is not invited and stays behind with Toru, and she thinks about how Akito weighs heavily in everyone's hearts. Everyone arrives to see Akito, but first, Akito dismisses Kureno away and has a conversation with Shigure and Hattori. Akito shares about seeing Yuki earlier and then welcomes everyone. Hattori says that he doesn't know what Shigure is planning, but at least he's taking action, and Shigure wonders if Akito is a fool by not recognizing that Yuki has in fact grown. Back at the house, Kyo and Toru are still waiting for everyone to arrive, and Toru decides to go check outside. She runs into Yuki and they begin walking back together. Toru sees a shooting star, and they both watch the shower together. Yuki starts opening up to Toru about the lid, and says that he was able to open it thanks to Akito. He starts by thanking her for always listening and accepting him, and that he is the one always being saved by her. He says that he will not lose and will keep moving forward, and when Toru asks why he seems so sad, he smiles and kisses her forehead. His tears fall onto Toru's face as he thinks about how dear she is to him. Okay, now let's take a look at the episode. The episode starts off with the first scene of chapter 59, when Akito runs into Yuki. This scene was really well done and immediately set a more serious tone for the episode, and even the rest of the arc. Then it goes back to earlier that same day, where Hiro hears the news about his mom's pregnancy, which is the first scene from chapter 58. This scene was followed very well, and it was cute to see how excited Toru and Kisa were for him being a big brother. When Shigure mentions swimsuits and Hiro drags Kisa away, there is an additional line in the manga where Hiro says, "That's the last kind of adult I want to grow into." Another quick conversation that the anime missed is a scene between Kisa and Hiro. She asks him if his mom is happy, and Hiro says that she's very excited but also very clumsy, and suddenly he looks away and worries about his mom's safety. Kisa smiles and says, "I have a feeling you'll be a caring older brother, and maybe overprotective." This is brought up again slightly when everyone is walking back home with the watermelon. When they find out the news, Yuki says, "Hiro will be an older brother? That doesn't quite fit." To which Haru replies, "It never does. Ayame as an older brother doesn't fit either." And Yuki says, "You're right, you don't have to remind me." It's just some minor details and funny moments that were skipped, but overall I really enjoyed how the anime did this scene. The dialogue was followed exactly, minus some minor lines, and it was really well done. The watermelon scene was exactly the same, and I loved that extra detail of Kyo noticing Toru, and being able to see past the facade that she puts up sometimes to be considerate of others. Hiro's comment from the previous episode still has an impact on her, and I'm glad that Kyo was observant and that they were able to open up to each other about it later. The scene with Yuki seeing Toru laying a blanket over the kids sleeping was so wholesome. It shows how motherly and gentle Toru is, and it's clear that Yuki is still trying to tame the demons of his past and figure out his feelings. Seeing Toru and Kyo's relationship blossoming stirs something complicated in Yuki, and Haru recognizes that when he tells Yuki it's an ordeal. In the Tokyopop English version of the manga, the line here is, "It's a test." The Japanese word for shiren can be translated to a test, a trial, or an ordeal. Either way, whatever Yuki is going through here is still painful, and it's heartbreaking to see. This next scene with Kyo and Toru is one of my favorites of them in the series, and it was done beautifully. I think a lot is said in just the way he looks at her. It's clear that they are more comfortable opening up to one another, and have continued to grow closer throughout the series. Next, Hattori and Shigure have a moment, and this scene is pretty much followed exactly, minus one line in the manga where they mention a character named Shiraki. This is referencing events that happened in chapters 56 and 57, which the anime has skipped for now. Okay, now we're caught up to the first scene of the episode, the first scene of chapter 59, where Yuki runs into Akito and Kureno. I can see why they put this scene at the beginning of the episode to connect the dialogue here to the ones Yuki says at the end of the episode, but I noticed some people were confused on when this scene actually happened. It's easier to follow in the manga since it's chronological, but since the anime already showed most of this scene with Akito in the beginning, it skips to a few pages later when everyone finds out that Akito has arrived. In the manga, this is where Toru says, "I only met him once, in April," and then she gasps and wonders where Yuki is. I feel like the manga adds more moments in this chapter with Toru being more attentive to Yuki, which some could interpret as potential romance, but due to her knowing that Akito affects Yuki more than the others, obviously she would be worrying about him right now. When everyone leaves, there's some dialogue that was omitted of Toru thinking, "Suddenly, it felt as if the fire had gone out, as if everyone's mood had gone heavy." Akito-san really does weigh heavily in everyone's hearts, especially for Kyo-kun and Yuki-kun. She repeats Yuki-kun, and then moves into the roar scene. This was really cute. I love how she always tries to remain strong and cheerful despite the heavy atmosphere. I'm happy that Toru and Kyo are having a lot of alone time together during this vacation. They've had some pretty great moments so far. Maybe that's part of why I love the beach arc so much. Everything after this is followed exactly with the same dialogue, and hearing Akito's music score was very chilling. There is still so much mystery regarding Akito, and it's only just beginning. Once Toru walks out of the house, the anime starts to change the setting slightly. In the manga, it's much darker out, and when she's walking through the woods, she thinks, what am I supposed to do in a situation like this? Before Yuki finds her. The rest of the chapter takes place in the forest at night, overlooking the ocean. The anime decided to move this scene to the beach with more lighting, and I prefer this decision. It made the scene so much more beautiful. The dialogue in this emotional scene is followed exactly, and it was so fantastic. I was speechless. When he remembers the abusive things Akito said to him when he was younger, the anime translates this to Akito saying that Yuki is useless. In the manga, the word they use is boring. Tsumaranai can be translated to boring or dull or worthless, so for the remainder of the series, I would trust the anime's translation over the others, since I'm assuming this is the original Japanese script. The last lines of the episode are so heartbreaking, but it's such an important moment in the series. This confession is a huge step for Yuki, and even though he didn't vocalize everything to Toru, mentally he is trying to move forward, away from his past darkness, and believe in his future. I want to bring up some differences in translation that may have been confusing for some manga readers. If you grew up with Tokyopop like I did, you might have noticed that the last line is different in the anime than in the manga. In the anime it says, "That's because you're just like the sky. I'm so sad because you're so dear to me." While the Tokyopop translation says, "Because you are like that sky. Because I feel it so much that it breaks my heart. I love you." Overall, I'm so used to the Tokyopop translation that maybe I'm a little biased, but this line was translated incorrectly, as well as a lot of the online manga scans, and caused a lot of confusion amongst English readers. When I first read this, I was thinking that this was a romantic confession, but after getting the proper translation, we can see that it's more complicated than that. The line is fixed in the updated Yen press volumes, and there the line is, "It's because you're like the sky. I'm sad because You're so very dear to me. The word Yuki says here is itoshi, which is a more refined and serious way to say that something is dear or precious to them. This is a word you sometimes hear in Japanese songs, and although it could technically be interpreted in a romantic way, usually with romantic confessions, people use words like suki, daisuki, or ai. No matter what their relationship is, whether you want to interpret it as romantic or not, clearly they both care about each other very much. Toru has made such an impact and has changed Yuki's life, and although he still has a lot that he's fighting, his character has grown so much since season 1. He has so much gratitude for Toru accepting him and always being by his side. Only time will tell how these feelings will unfold, as well as Kyo's, and I'm so excited to see how the rest of the beach arc pans out. Alright, that's it for my manga comparison. The rest of the video, I'm going to be talking about what I expect for the next few Fruits Basket episodes. I will be talking about some content that is in the next few chapters, so if this is your first time watching the anime and you don't want any spoilers whatsoever, I suggest you exit this video when I put in my manga spoiler warning, and I really appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. Take care, bye! Okay, it's manga time. So, wow, what an episode, am I right? I was definitely waiting for that scene for a very long time, the one with Toru and Yuki, but it was very interesting because I grew up with the Tokyo Pop manga, so seeing the different line kind of like surprised me a little bit. I can understand that the Tokyo Pop dialogue was a little misleading because when I read it back in high school, middle school, I saw I love you and I assumed it was a confession internally. But as we know from reading the manga, we understand the context of the situation now. So I'm really happy that the anime clarified that, because if not, it would have really misled a lot of people. I'll probably be mentioning this in future comparisons and reviews, but there's obviously a big difference between Yuki's feelings for Toru and Kyo's feelings for Toru. It's a different type of love, and we'll probably talk about that more when it gets to it. I do enjoy their moments, and there are definitely some people out there that are still gonna like them together. But as we go forward in the series, we'll get more and more information on how Yuki feels, and I think that'll help clarify things for everyone. So now that we're further getting into the beach arc, I don't think they're going to add any other chapters that aren't related. I think we're just going to keep going in order, following the manga pretty much exactly. So next episode will be chapters 60 and probably 61. When I was watching the episode for the first time, the title, Well It's True, kind of threw me off, and I forgot who said that line, but it is a quote from Rin early on in chapter 60. So we know that it'll be chapter 60 and probably 61, which means that episode 9 will probably be 62, 63, episode 10, 64, 65. Oh my god, episode 9 is gonna ruin me. It's gonna be so good. It's a scene, it's one of my favorite scenes of the entire series, and I love Kyo so much, and I can't wait to see that. The beach scene! So we do have some things to look forward to in the next episode on Monday. We'll be seeing Rin again, and she'll arrive at the beach. And Kyo and Toru will have another nice moment with the bracelet that they talk about. I just can't wait to see Kyo's chapters in this beach arc because it's phenomenal, and I can't wait to see how beautiful it's gonna be. So when I was reading the Tokyo Pop ones, Yuki and Kyo's lines are very similar, but now I'm so happy that the anime's clarified that. So now we will be able to clearly see the difference between Yuki's feelings and Kyo's feelings, and I am so excited. I definitely think now that Akito's here, the series is taking a more serious turn. That's one reason why I really like the beach arc, especially basically all the content in volume 11 is fantastic, and it's probably my favorite volume of the series. It's just a huge shift in the series, and it just becomes more serious and darker, and more things are at stake. I love it. We have a good flow going with the beach arc right now, so I don't think they'll introduce the Mayu content until everyone's back at school maybe, and they'll throw it in there somewhere. So I think the pacing is going really well so far. I'm really happy with this season. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate the support I've been given so far. It's great, and I love talking to you all. You're welcome to follow me on any of my social media. I post it in the description below. Feel free to check me out on Twitch too. I stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, and I post my Fruits Basket videos on Mondays and Wednesdays. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you all next week on Monday with episode 8. Thank you. Bye!